delighted to launch the first episode of what's going to be called the Zoomers, because there are a couple of Zoomers with us today. The one and only John Richardson from the Sunday Mirror is here to talk footy, and our legend that is Gibraltar's own Charlie McCann is also with us to talk footy, and maybe hopefully win us a few bob as well with some football and racing tips a bit later on. Rico, how are you? You're looking fantastic.
I'm very well, enjoying this lockdown.
It suits you.
No, working as well, by the way. Working as well.
What's the shirt there?
It's a Champions League shirt. I used to cover them every year and used to get one free. So I can put it on eBay for you, Rob, if you want.
Yeah, I do. I could do with a bit of that. Charlie, how are you?
I'm in good form, mate. Thank you. Really good form. Looking forward to a wonderful weekend of sport.
Brilliant. Great to have you both with us. Okay, we're going to kick off. Rico, first of all, is football back with a bang or a whimper?
If you listen to Sky, it's back with a bang. If you listen to many fans, it's back with a whimper. It's great that we're seeing football, but football for me is entertainment. It's for the fans. And it's very hard watching, on the TV. It reminds me going back to my years of when I covered reserve team football, in big stadiums, nobody there, you could hear the players. It's soulless, it's very sterile, but it's got to start somewhere, so it's better than nothing. But I can't say I'm excited by it. I watched the two games on Wednesday night like everybody else. And for me, it wasn't football, but it's there and we have to go with it.
Charlie, what's your take so far? Are you a man who watches with the crowd noise on or the crowd noise off?
Crowd noise off. Soulless, I'd mirror what John said. I think that's an apt description. Although there's going to be some games coming up pretty soon when relegation and millions and millions and millions of pounds are at stake, and whether they'll be still soulless then, I think it's difficult for the players to sort of get into it. Things like the derby on Sunday evening will be, for somebody like myself, I normally watch them behind the sofa anyway. And just, as an avid Evertonian, it's a long, long time. And, I think we want one game to reignite the spark. We had a VAR controversy and everyone says, but that was a dull game, wasn't it? And, that was a poor game and Arsenal never showed up. Against City, we need a big game. And I hope it will come this evening. I've got to be honest, I hope Spurs versus Manchester United. That we know there's United, as well as Champions League, they've got the Europa League to play for. They've got the FA Cup. This is a big game as well. And fascinating as well that I I read the Opta stats saying that since Mourinho took over at Spurs, that Spurs are actually third in the table. They would be behind Liverpool and City, level on points with Wolves, and of course Wolves wiped the floor with them at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium just before the lockdown. I think the lockdown may have come at a good time for Spurs. Son's back, Harry Kane's back, Moussa Sissoko back for tonight, but United in the same. They've got a fully fit squad available. I'm really looking forward, and I hope this acts as the catalyst. Soulless John, yes, on the first midweek. Let's hope we're singing a different song on Sunday night, and as long as it's not, You'll Never Walk Alone.
I agree to an extent there, Charlie. I think we need something to go off. Actually, yeah. We need a bit of action. We need a bit of a bust up, to be honest. Get the feathers flying. Get people going at it to show that the players really do care about this. And also it gets everybody revved up at home. It was soulless on Wednesday. I thought the first game was just awful. Second game was better. But yeah, we need something to be at stake on Wednesday night. Yeah, also players have got to get used to this, of course. I accept that. That's going to take time. We just want something to go off. But for me, and for everybody, of course, it's an entertainment business. It is for fans. We can't have the fans in, but let's get going with something. And I hope you're right. I mean, if the Merseyside derby can't go off, then nothing can go off, can it?
Exactly.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Spurs
Okay.
and United. We'll talk about Everton and Liverpool. Just to dwell on the one big incident, I suppose. Of, I mean, I don't despair, but you're coming back with the most ridiculous incident when the ball's over the line at Aston Villa, and Chris Wilder said, the goalie caught it in the Holt end. I spoke to Rico before, and I'm absolutely sure Keenan Davis handled it as well. He absolutely took his hand away. I had a good look on the video this morning. And yet, okay, the watch fails and Hawkeye fails, but what is VAR? What are those guys doing? What's the point of them if they don't sort out an incident like that?
I think to be fair, goal line decision technology has been 100%, hasn't it? It's been fantastic.
Yes.
It's produced some goals that would never have been given, and vice versa. So it's been 100% until Wednesday night. And I think that, in fairness to Michael Oliver, he's so used to the watch being 100% right that he just went by that. And you relax a little bit, don't you? You're allowing the technology to do it for you. Now, watching it again, watch the linesman, or the assistant referee as they are now, he was right at the corner flag, and he should have been able to see that. I mean, you can with the naked eye, and Michael Oliver obviously knew at half-time there'd been a big mistake. I don't blame him. It's technology failing for the first time on the goal line decision. Yes, VAR should have rescued the situation. That is what you've got to look at. I don't think you look at Michael Oliver. I think you let off goal line decision technology. That has been 100% till now. Hopefully that's the only glitch we ever have. But VAR should have come in and rescued the situation.
I don't want to dwell on it too much, Charlie, but I mean, it was like him again for me.
My thoughts. I'd agree with you. Exactly what John said again. It was a cock up. Let's get on with it. I'd be more from my point of view. There was the sixth best team in the Premier League, and to me they showed absolutely next to nothing. And I was more concerned with that. And maybe from my perspective, maybe a punting perspective, I'd be quite keen to take Sheffield United on in the next few games, because I thought they looked pretty ordinary, I must say.
Mm.
Okay, we've got two games tonight. We've got Norwich and Southampton, and Tottenham against Manchester United. Just a brief one on Norwich and Southampton. Are Norwich down, Rico?
Probably, although, as a lot of people say, they're probably the best team that's ever been bottom of the Premier League. I've seen them a few times this season. They're good to watch. I like the manager. They've got some decent players. They play lovely football. I saw them at Burnley, where they absolutely, trounced Burnley, but lost in the end to a couple of dodgy VAR decisions. But I fear they've got too much to do. It's a shame, but if they maintain that squad, then they can bounce back, because they are equipped to go down. It won't be an absolute disaster like it would be for an Aston Villa, for instance. But they're good to watch. I hope they get out of trouble. I don't think they will.
Charlie, just anything betting-wise, Norwich and Southampton? Or
I think this is an interesting game as well. When you think that Hasenhüttl's just been given a 4-year contract extension, he was a dead man walking when they got beat 9-0 at home. Yeah. Southampton deserves, the executive there deserve every credit. I think he's a really good manager. I think this will be quite entertaining. I think Norwich have got it. This is a must-win game for them. Apart from the striker Shefki Kuki, they don't score enough goals. They play good football. They played good football at Anfield on the first day of the season, if you remember. Still lost out, you're 4-1. But apart from the City, when they won 3-2 in that game, they haven't had the results, don't score enough goals, but pleasing on the eye. And let's hope, I think 1-1 this evening in that first game.
Did you say Shefki Kuki there, or Timu Puki?
That's the one, yeah. He's an old Sheffield Wednesday striker or something. But
it's his brother.
Yes, exactly. I don't know what I said. Anyway, the Finnish striker, whatever his name is.
Listen, Rico, you're up there in the northwest. I spoke to Dennis Owen in the week.
Yeah.
The buzz around Manchester United seems to be a good one all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely, and deservedly so. Because it's been a traumatic season for Ollie, hasn't it? he's going, he's not going, blah, blah, blah. But he seems to have settled the ship. The only thing is I get absolutely sick and tired of reading and writing about one player. Can you guess who that player is?
I wonder.
I wonder who that is. I get sick of hearing about it.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I know he's a World Cup winner, but for me, he's a fairly ordinary player, you know, and the words surrounding him are incredible. I'm guilty as well. I write about him. Is he going? Is he not? Is he staying? Blah, blah, blah. I think Manchester United would be far better without him, but it looks like he's staying now. So let's see him knuckle down. You know, he's got Bruno Fernandes next to him, who looks a fantastic signing. Manchester United are on the up, you know, and so you don't need the Pogba words all the time. You know, I think they're doing well. I think Ollie's doing well. He's settled it. The fans are behind him. It looks set up really for Man United to finish in probably fourth, which would obviously get them in Europe, although fifth might, depending on Manchester City's experience in
Sure.
the court of arbitration.
I must admit, I have a bias slightly because I did a lot of interviews with Ollie Solskjaer when he was first at Manchester United when I was working in the Northwest. One, he seems a hell of a nice fella. But in a way, I'm kind of so glad that they haven't been a knee-jerk reaction. You know, you lose 2 games in the Premier League and it's get rid of the manager. It's absolute nonsense. A manager has to have time with all the turmoil, with the change of managers, the change of players. He inherited at times a pretty poor team, didn't he?
Well, I think you've got to remember he's unbeaten in 10. You know, before they were really on a roll. They've beaten Manchester City 3 times this season. Okay, they lost one, which was obviously significant in the League Cup, but in semi-final. But they've beaten them 3 times. This is, and as you say, as John says, I think Bruno Fernandes. He's made a fabulous impression so far. And no, I think, and if you think, you know, the word on the street is that Jadon Sancho would come in. I thought I've discussed, you know, the wages of Jadon Sancho. He won't come on 2 and 6 a week. Who've they got to get rid of? Alexis Sanchez at this moment in time. United is still paying circa, reportedly, allegedly, 300,000 of his £400,000 a week wages at Internazionale. Can they afford him? Pogba, Jadon Sancho, etc. I don't know how big pockets are at Manchester United, especially obviously given the loss of revenue at present. But I'm with John. I think where everybody's sick of Pogba, I would disagree. I do think for some reason he is the real deal, and if somebody could motivate him, maybe not on a sort. I don't think he's one of these guys who can play every maybe at that level twice a week. I don't think he's a sort of, you know, one of the greats. But I think he's some talent, and I think he'll play a big part. I think Manchester United, I think they're going places, and it wouldn't surprise me if he plays a significant part. I think he'll come on as sub today, 5 subs, remember. As you said, they've got a lot of games between now and the end of the season, and I think that will be the time for reflection for Paul Pogba and his army of agents and everybody else, you know, to think at Man United.
I bet you one thing, he'll have a new haircut.
Yeah, there'll be no sheepish sort of for him. He might have found a way around it. Yes, in lockdown, God love him.
Hey, what about Jack Grealish's hair? Sorry, mate. What about Jack Grealish's hair? Dear me.
Well, the thing is, I mean, to be fair, Rico, I'm looking at that barnet of yours.
Well, it could go like.
That has lockdown connotations written all
over
it.
Has.
In fact, it looks a bit like Jack Grealish's, to be honest.
I wish
it was Jack Grealish. And Jack's been fouled 131 times this, and I was thinking, blimey, no wonder your hair's turned white, Jack.
Listen, Charlie, you fancy United strongly tonight, don't you?
Yeah. I would have fancied them, you know, before the lockdown when the game was arriving. Then I think, you know, without Heung-min Son, I'm quite worried about saying the wrong names here. Harry Kane, Sissoko. But yeah, I do. I think this United team are good on the break as well. I think, you know, they've got pace with Rashford, Martial, et al. Love, as I said, Fernandes. Yeah, I think, you know, and just before the lockdown, Spurs were beaten by Wolves, and I saw that game, and God, I just am not a great at this moment in time. Sorry, it sounds as if the North London clubs, but these are massive clubs. These are great, great clubs. And I just don't think their whole there's something, missing, in my opinion, from them. And I thought it was interesting, though, in defence of Mourinho, that his side have got the third most points in the Premier League since he took over. So, we have to hold our hands up.
I have to smile already. He's coming out, Mourinho. We can't compete in the transfer market like anybody else. I think it would be a miss of us, Rico, if we didn't tip our hat to Marcus Rashford, who away from football has just done something absolutely astonishing. Something obviously dear to his heart. I mean, he might be one of the first footballers ever. Wherever he goes, he'll get a round of applause. Astonishing, and good luck to him. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's a well-rounded lad, lovely lad to interview. Right from the start, when he made that amazing introduction in the European game, he's always been one of those, the mix zones. Well, remember the mix zones? We can't have them now, can we? When they go past you, they'll be going past with hand sanitizer now. He would always stop. He was good to interview. Very round. He's fantastic, absolutely fantastic what he's done. I mean, to make the government commit a U-turn, I mean, not many players can say that. Yeah, the nation love him. He's come over well, hasn't he, in interviews on television? You're right. I think even Liverpool fans might give him a cheer. He's done well. What I don't want, though, the stuff in some of the papers, give him a knighthood and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you should canonise people straight away for doing good things. I mean, yeah, he deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done. But let's leave it at that and just congratulate him and keep his feet on the floor.
It will be interesting.
Let's look ahead to Sunday, where you might be hiding behind a sofa to the derby, Everton and Liverpool. And 2 wins needed for Liverpool. How good is this? We've had long discussions in various saloons down the years about great Liverpool sides and great Everton sides, and not so great Liverpool, not so great Everton. Where would you, as a Merseysider, put this Liverpool side compared to the very best?
It wouldn't be quite as good as the Rush, Souness, Dalglish, of course. No, it wouldn't quite be as good as that, I don't think. But the game's changed. I mean, but they were years to me ahead of their time as well, and they would canter through games away from home, sort of 0-0s, 0-1s, and things like that. They would control the game, and then at Anfield, they would just batter teams. They had with just wonderful people like Ronnie Whelan. Just the most wonderful footballer. Then you had the steel of Souness. You had the energy of McDermott. And then Dalglish is the best player I've ever seen, week in, week out. Week in, he would never have a day off. He would be fantastic. This is a great Liverpool team, wonderfully managed as well. They've got their own Hansen at the back. They've got such incredible pace and power. I mean, Mane is such a powerful, wonderful, wonderful player. And what I like about the three of them is, there's no prima donnas there. The only, little sulks they have is when one of them gets taken off, and they want to get taken off because they want to score goals. That's what I absolutely love. They hate missing games. This is a great Liverpool team. But if we're talking about the Pantheon, no, it wouldn't just quite be as good. But again, Liverpudlians would know more than me. As you say, I've watched their games often, which through. Oh no, but they're a fantastic club. This is a fantastic team, worthy champions. If you get 90 odd points last year and don't win the league, I think it's fair to say you deserve your hour in the, you do. They'd be worthy champions.
Rico, where would you put them?
Well, strangely, Charlie must have read my article for the Sunday Mirror. It's spot on what he's just said. I had to compare, and the sports editor said it's horrible to say, I don't like comparing eras, I don't think anybody does. So could you compare the team of the 80s to this one? And I had to go through them individually. So I had to name a team from the 80s, and Charlie's mentioned all those players, Souness, McDermott, Dalglish, Rush, etc., etc. had to give them marks out of 10, and then, of course, compare them to the present day. And the team that Charlie's just mentioned comes out on top, by quite a long way, actually, when you do consider them. You look at today's team, and possibly Alisson, the keeper, Andrew Robertson and Virgil van Dijk. I think those are the only three, for me, that would possibly try and get in that, 80s side. But then you have to knock out Ray Clements, who played until 1991, so just about gets in the 80s. And you've got Bruce Grobbelaar, of course. And then you've got Alan Hansen, who's definitely going to get in as a centre-half, alongside Van Dijk. So you've got Loro, Mark Lawrenson, you've got Phil Thompson. So you're leaving one of those two out. And then you go into midfield, and the midfield of Souness, Whelan, McDermott,
say Kennedy
on the left, and then you've got to have Rush and Dalglish up front, haven't you? But it's not taking anything away from the present day side, because they're superb to watch. They're a good team. They've got a superb manager. I mean, the thing is that they are being talked about as a great side. But as Graham Souness said in this piece, he said, well, let's judge them in 5 years' time. That's when you can judge a sort of a team from that period. But yeah, I mean, hey, you're comparing almost greatness with greatness. They're fantastic to watch, Jurgen Klopp's side. But for me, as Charlie is suggesting, they're shaded by the 80s side.
You must have been, or both of you, watching my Ronnie Whelan interview, because I put it to Ronnie exactly that question.
I nicked some of it from it.
Did you? You nick away, my friend. You nick away. Well, Ronnie said that. He said Virgil van Dijk alongside Alan Hansen, which then leaves out Lawrenson and Hansen. And he said the goalkeeper, which I listen. I think he's a wonderful goalkeeper, but you leave out Ray Clements, it's a big call. I asked the same to Ron Atkinson, and he said the only one he thought that might get in as well is the left back, Andy Robertson.
Yeah.
So those are the only three. But we're talking about great sides, aren't we? As simple as that. At the same time, Charlie, what about the Blue Boys? How are they fare on Sunday night, and how are they? I still can't believe Carlo Ancelotti is the manager. I've got to be honest with you.
Well, that's a great coup, and we will. I'd like to think he's there for the long term, but he's got an awful lot of weeding out to do, and I don't think this COVID has helped. The number of players at Everton who are on inflated wages for their ability, and it's going to be difficult for Ancelotti, Marcel Brands, and the owner to get rid of some of these players who will come out with the immortal line, "I want to stay and fight for my place." Bracket on £100,000 a week, close brackets. Okay, sorry, I'm sure a lot of the players have taken a cut in the short term, so you do need to mention that. But I think Geordie's still out on the goalkeeper for me, and apart from that, I think we have four players who I think are the nucleus of the side, and they are Mason Holgate, they are Andre Gomez, Richarlison, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. A lot of people would say, how come you miss out Luca Dean? Luca Dean, for me, is a fantasy football player. I think his fantasy football stats will be quite good. He takes the odd free kick and the odd assist and things like that. To me, we need to defend as well. Yerry Mina, we paid a lot of money for him. Again, he's on a doubt for Sunday's game. We're just talking about that Liverpool team. We're talking about this current Liverpool team. Does Virgil van Dijk ever miss the game and things like that? I know he missed quite a chunk of games for Southampton with this, this injury that he had when the transfer to Liverpool was happening and things like that. But apart from that, I think Carlo Ancelotti has got a very, very difficult job. And I think things like 6th and 7th place at the Premier League was there for the taking this year. And I think, it was disappointing that Everton are where they are in the league. But, again, Everton haven't lost at home since Ancelotti took over. But, of course, that was, we had, Goodison was rocking for the games with, when against Chelsea and Manchester United. We know it won't be the same on Sunday night.
We'll move on, Rico, to Chelsea. it makes me smile. He's signed Timo Werner, he wants Kai Havertz, he's got Ziyech and all. They've got to win the league now. Everybody, he's just like any chance. But they've made a statement, Chelsea, haven't they, in the transfer market?
Yeah, I mean, I always praise Liverpool for their buying. I think Chelsea going down the same road. I think the buys are very good. You know, the lad from Ajax is a tremendous player. A little bit of Steve Coppell to me, coming in from the right and, you know, scoring goals. Timo Werner probably would have gone to Liverpool in normal circumstances, but, you know, the financial situation has said he goes to Chelsea. Excellent signing, improves the squad. And the midfielder, Havertz, is it?
If they get him, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a good reputation. You know, the top clubs in Europe are looking after him. So if Chelsea snatch him, yeah, I think they're going to be players, definitely, for next season.
Can I just stay with you? Because at the same time, what's happening on your beloved tune, mate? I know we've only got 3 hours to talk about it. What's the latest? Can you tell us?
Right. Thanks very much. I'll have to go. Oh, it's doing me head in. It's doing me head in. It would take 3 hours to go. I mean, hopefully it does go through. And I know people are going to go on about Saudi Arabia, etc., etc. But summing it up, the government deal with Saudi Arabia. A number of big firms in this country deal with Saudi Arabia. So why is football always put out there as, oh, you can't do that? Now, if there's morals at stake, okay, fair enough. But let's not deal with Saudi Arabia, full stop. But if we are dealing with Saudi Arabia, then for me, they should be able to take over Newcastle United.
Oh, I've just hang on a second.
Is that you?
That was me. Yeah.
That was
Sorry about that, man. Somebody was just ringing me, so I got cut off. Well, go on. So the last words you said, they should be allowed to take over Newcastle United, is what you said, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. In a word,
and
yes.
Do you think, yes. Okay. All right, lads. Let's just have a look at the games as we go through. I just want a yes or a no. And Charlie, maybe if you see there's something you fancy from the weekend. Norwich, Southampton. Rico, what do you think?
Norwich to win.
Charlie?
No bet for me, but if I had to recommend something, it would be the draw.
Okay. Spurs and Man United?
United for me.
Yeah, I agree with Charlie.
Okay. Watford, Leicester?
Under 2.5 goals.
Sorry,
Say again?
Under 2.5 goals. I can't see many goals in this.
Rico?
Never predict Watford, but Leicester win.
Brighton and Arsenal, Rico. Oh, dear me, Arsenal looked a poor side, didn't they, on Wednesday night?
Arsenal are shocking, absolutely shocking. You know, everybody goes on about the last few years of Arsene Wenger's reign. Well, it's far better than this. You know, far better than Unai Emery and far better than under Mikel Arteta. I worried about Arteta's appointments. Spoke to people at Manchester City, asked what he did there. He said virtually nothing. I mean, virtually nothing. That's unfair. It's Pep Guardiola does all the training. He did individual training with players, but he didn't set up anything. So it was a big ask for him. And at the moment, I can't see any signs of any recovery for Arsenal. So I'll go for Brighton to win anyway.
At the same time, Rico, is he in an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation where he's actually inherited a bit of a mess, hasn't he?
Yeah. I'm in favour of giving, you know, we mentioned earlier, I'm in favour of giving people time. But so far, I can't see any green shoots of recovery, Rob, to be honest. I mean, the central defence is a mess. Nobody would have any of those players in their squad, you know. And then you look at Lacazette, who hardly gets a game. Abiyon, what's his God. Charlie here.
Jeffy Cookie.
I mean, he could be leaving. It's a mess. Thank you, Charlie. It's a mess.
To be fair, Aubameyang played like Jeffy Cookie on Wednesday night. I mean, it's all right bringing in Eddie Nketiah and Ainsley Maitland-Niles into a really good side. It's a big ask to bring the Sackos, these young guys, in all at once and ask them to perform against Manchester City, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be interesting his team selection on against Brighton. Brighton, double chance for me. Brighton to either win or draw. It's a shade of odds on. That's my recommendation in that game. In fairness to Arteta, they had gone 8 games unbeaten before the City game, but as John said, they pulled a few trees and they weren't good on the eye, and there was maybe a little bit more steel than they did show in some of the home games. I thought a bit more passion, but no, I think I hope to see maybe Brighton, put up a good performance. I don't think Brighton will lose, so that double chance for me to Brighton to either win or draw, given Arsenal are too short in the market.
We'll go quickly through this. Charlie, West Ham and Wolves?
Wolves to win just for me. I like this Wolves team. I think they're good away from home as well. Got a bit of pace. I'd be interested to see West Ham's team selection. Jack Wilshere's back, a couple more. They're more better players. What does he do with the Felipe Anderson? I think Mark Noble his place might be under threat, but Wolves just for me in that one.
Rico?
I love watching Wolves. I think they're one of the most pleasing teams on the eye. They're fantastic counter breaks. So yeah, I'll go for Wolves.
I'll stay with you, Rico. Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. And one of the things I was going to talk about today is you talk about unsung heroes. Roy Hodgson has done an absolutely outstanding job with a team who haven't got a centre forward, which is a bit unfair to Benteke and Jordan Ayew, but Roy's done brilliantly, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a great bloke. I mean, I know him obviously well from the England days, and I suppose he's understated in many respects. He had a nightmare at Liverpool, didn't he? That's about it. Everywhere else he's done well. He's done well abroad. I thought he did a decent job with England. Not fantastic, obviously, but he settled things down a little bit. He got the players together. Done a great job at Crystal Palace. Palace. With some managers, they might have been in trouble, mightn't they? Might have been relegation trouble, but that's been forgotten under Roy. So good old Roy. Is he allowed out, by the way? He's over 70.
Don't know.
Is he?
Yeah, no. It's going to be interesting, to be fair. Go on, Bournemouth Palace. How do you see that?
Well, Bournemouth, I'm a big fan of Eddie Howe's as well. But, they've struggled most of this season. The only thing with Eddie is I don't think some of the buys have been very good, so they've let him down a little bit. But I'm going to go for a draw on that one, Rob.
Liverpool will love Eddie Howe when you think of Dominic Solanke, who's not scored in 34 Premier League games, and Jordan Ayew. They've taken a few, but Charlie, how do you see that? Quickly, we'll run through these. Bournemouth Palace.
I'm more concerned about that. Eddie Howe said in his press conference this morning that Ryan Fraser's played his last game. He better not end up at Goodison. He's one of the most overrated footballers in the solar system, let alone the Premier League. I actually, for some reason, think he said he's got his best squad available, Eddie Howe, and I just think this is an overachieving Crystal Palace. Bournemouth win for me.
Newcastle and Sheffield United, Charlie.
I think I've seen quite a bit of this Alan Saint-Maximin, and I love him. I think he could be an absolute star. I really do. There's just something about him. Just occasionally, he'll go missing for 30 minutes and things like that. And the next thing you know, he's Roy the Rovers stuff. I think he could be very, very good. You know my thoughts on Sheffield United. Somebody's got to finish sort of 6th or something in the league, where Arsenal haven't turned up, when Spurs, have had difficulties, when the likes of Everton. Newcastle for me. Low scoring game.
Yeah, by the way, he gets bumps off seats. He's a tremendous player. My only worry is that he won't stay at Newcastle very long. No. I think he's absolutely top class. He's exciting. One of the most exciting players I've seen in a long time. 6-0 Newcastle.
Aston Villa, Chelsea. Just give me a winner.
I'd put up Chelsea to win, both teams to score.
Yeah, agreed. Chelsea to win, Rob.
Okay, and finally we round up with the Merseyside derby, Rico.
Well, Charlie, speak to me here. It's going to be Liverpool, I'm afraid. Everton, I've just done my homework on that. It's 21 games, isn't it? It's 21 games without a win for Everton since 2010. It's absolutely amazing.
And the scorers that day were Tim Cahill and Mikel Arteta.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Charlie, what about you?
Charlie behind the sofa.
Behind the sofa, Liverpool to win to 0.
Okay, thanks to you both. Rico, thanks a lot, mate. Really enjoyed it. We'll do it again
Thanks,
next week
John.
if that's okay.
Cheers, Charlie. Well done.
Cheers, mate.